Hey everybody, welcome back to the 6th episode of the Shooting Time podcast. This episode here is just a little bit different. We recorded a live version of a goose hunt, and during that, I guess we talked about a bunch of different things, but one of the focuses was just catching up with one of my friends, Bill, on a recent mule deer hunt that myself and my friend Mike went on in Colorado. We were gone for like 25 days between that and elk hunt, so we were telling him the story of how that kind of went, and how it was luckily successful. So that's part of it. We also just talked about some of the hunt, obviously, and kind of where we were at and what we were doing and whatnot. So yeah, it was a cool thing. The audio quality, of course, was not quite as good as some of the other episodes are going to be, just due to the recording situation and the fact that the recording studio was inside of an A-frame blind with a little bit of a breeze outside. But I think overall it's pretty good, actually. So I'd be interested just to hear a little bit of feedback on that, and also just on what else you think of that style of the podcast in general. I think it was pretty cool myself. We had fun doing it. Hopefully get a little bit more action too as we get going here into the season. So definitely take a listen. Let me know what you think. We'll also, at the end, when we kind of say goodbye and wrap things up, we actually had another flock come in a little bit later after one of my buddies had left, and it was kind of a cool little flock. So if you're interested, stay tuned for that last 3 minutes of a kind of chaotic little burst there. So it's kind of fun. Anyways, thanks for listening. Shoot some feedback either through email or my Instagram page. It'd be awesome. And again, thanks for listening. Enjoy. Hey, good morning, everybody. We are doing a first here for us. We are just getting set up in the blind. We actually just killed 2 geese right about 2 minutes after shooting time. On that note, I guess I should say welcome to the Shooting Time podcast. We're kind of still in the moment of disarray of getting stuff packed out and candy put away and calls out and guns loaded and all that kind of stuff, but
barely got the guns loaded.
Yeah, we barely got the guns loaded for the first 2 that came in. We were just finishing the last few decoys, and I looked down and I said, "Oh crap, it's shooting time!" And so we should probably just get in the blind and deal with the rest of it later.
Phil saved us,
and sure enough, as we were getting stuff ready, we heard a semi-distant honk, and Bill sits down and he goes, "Guys are not that far." And
I said, load up.
Me and our buddy Mike here, we load up and literally heard wing beats go over our head about 5 yards as we were down here in the front blind, putting our first shells in. Got on them and they swooped back over us one time as they were landing. We killed our first 2 of the morning, so we're off to a good start. I don't know if you can hear. Oh, that's real close shooting.
Yes, and they heard that.
So yeah, you probably heard that when there's shooting here in the background. We're on the outskirts on some private land, but on the outskirts of one of southern Minnesota's probably busier public spots. I'm not going to name the spot here, but just tell you it's a busy area. And we're sitting here on a grass.
Did you say we're on our second day of duck season? Yeah, this is
the second day of the season. I came over to hunt the Minnesota zone. Our South Dakota season doesn't start here for another week, and so I want to come over and shoot some geese with some buddies here. I'm with Bill Bartz, who's been on a bunch of episodes, and my buddy Mike. Me and him are fresh off of about a 24, 25 day whirlwind big game tour from Colorado and Montana, chasing mule deer and elk, which was slightly successful in terms of animals harvested, but just a really fun trip and a awesome one for a ton of knowledge gained, I would say. So
yeah, that was a fun trip.
Yeah, it was really good. So I'm sitting over here on the left side of the blind. That's my calls jingling you can hear. Bill's in the middle, kind of running the show. This is his spot. And then,
I'm not running the show, but yeah, it's my spot, I guess.
We'll say, give you the benefit of the doubt on that one. And then Mike Bartelt is down on the end. Both these guys are guys I've hunted with for probably 20 years almost, I would guess at this point. So
when did we first hunt?
Although I haven't hunted with Mike other than big game or turkeys for a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we've actually waterfowl hunted.
Yeah, I can't get him out to South Dakota to shoot a duck, so I can get him to come chase turkeys. He's put the smackdown on a lot of turkeys in front of me, but he won't come out to shoot a duck, so we'll shoot geese yet though around home.
We'll have to change that.
Yeah, well, yeah, you have to. We on our, I don't know if he'll listen to this, maybe he will, but on our hunt at the trailhead in Colorado, when we pulled in there, we had a kind of a gear explosion with all of our stuff sitting out as we were doing the final packing of all of our clothes and food and boots and bows and figuring that. And dude pulls up next to us, huge goatee and
some wood ducks.
Got wood ducks cruising by.
Yeah, so we got to keep our eyes peeled for them too.
Oh yeah, we got a bonus wood duck yesterday. So this dude pulls up and he started talking to us, and we ended up becoming pretty good friends. And turned out that we were hunting in almost the exact same spot. And I'm gonna have to contract him out to bring my mule deer head home. I don't know if everybody saw that on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, but
you left it out there?
Yeah, I left it at the taxidermist out there. So to keep the velvet preserved. So it was a nice mule deer I shot. But
real nice mule deer.
Yeah, he's gonna hopefully he lives close to the taxidermist. He's from Wisconsin originally, so trying to get him on a duck hunt and have him bring my mule deer head home at the same time. So maybe Mike will have to come out for that one then. So
yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, he was an interesting guy.
Yeah, we'll
cool to meet.
We'll probably talk about that trip here a little bit in a minute.
So you guys pulled up to the trailhead access point?
The trailhead in Colorado.
And then he was there or pulled up at the same time?
He kind of bopped in as we were getting our stuff ready. We were just BSing and talking about the spot, and turns out he had been in there scouting a fair amount already that summer. And kind of gave us a little bit of lowdown. He didn't know we were going to hunt literally the same spot as he was planning until we got further up the trail.
Yeah, we had mapped out, and we were like, yeah, we can. We kind of talked to him for a while and figured out he was going to generally the same area. And we had done a fair amount of research online to figure out exactly where we were going. And it was pretty funny because we ended up being almost in the same spot.
We looked
at the map.
The spots that we showed him on our Onyx, like halfway up the trail, like 3 miles up the trail, we stopped at a split, and we showed him the spots where we were thinking of camping, and he goes, "That's where the deer are exactly." Like basically the 3 spots that we had as potential camping spots, where he said exactly where the deer were living. So like, well, and we won't quite camp there then, but he kind of showed us a spot to camp that was pretty good, just a little bit off of them. We got a pair of sandhills
flying right over the corn there.
Yeah.
Flying low.
So we talked about sandhills, I think, in a different episode once, and we've seen a fair amount just between today and yesterday already.
Yep.
Some they're kind of all over the place. We got some. You guys can probably hear that shooting, I imagine. We got people closer than we thought, but that's kind of across some trees.
And there's not much for wind.
In a marshy area away from us. Yesterday on opener of Minnesota season, it sounded like a war across the way from us. and we sat here yesterday. I don't think we fired our first shot till probably an hour after shooting time.
Yeah.
Maybe I shot a wood duck. A flock of wood ducks came over about Mach 2, and I picked one out. And
we shot two kind of early.
Wasn't this?
Yeah, you shot your
though.
wood duck. I made your awesome shot on a wood duck.
Yeah.
Flying full speed.
But then there was nothing.
Big lull.
Really nothing happened. So we sat here kind of in the no bird, no shooting zone.
To the point where I was checking the weather apps.
Oh, yeah. Hoping for a north wind.
Starting to think about how I was going to pack up and walk out of here.
Oh, yeah. Because like the whole idea of the spot we're hunting is that it's a, you guys have heard us talk about the molt migrators with Ryan and I'm sure Sean, I think we talked about with Sean too, but that molt migration comes through this area. We happen to have a really good flyway here for that. So that was kind of what the whole intent of hunting this is. Basically, we're sitting on a green grass field with...
Even though it was a south wind yesterday.
Yeah, it was a south wind yesterday and we still shot them. But we got probably, 150 decoys out?
Yeah.
Quite a few out here.
We're kind of in so it's green grass field with a little, like a ditch running through the middle of it. We've got just like an A-frame style blind set up here in this grass, and we're pretty much blended in 100% perfectly. And we're hoping to traffic some migrators. I don't know how that will end up today with a second day of a south wind, but yesterday it actually worked.
There was some
fairly
moving.
well. We saw more than I think maybe we expected to see from migrators. We shot 12 geese for the four of us.
Mm-hmm. And a wood duck.
And a wood duck. Forget him.
Trophy Drake wood duck.
He was a trophy eclipse plumage Drake wood duck. And I think out of the 12, I'd say like half of them were probably some form of a migrating goose, and the other half were just geese that got kicked up off the local spot. So we were happy to see. And then we saw probably another half dozen different flocks of migrators that were just flew too far off the sides of us to pull them in. So we're hoping for maybe a little trickle of that because the temps are cool today. I don't know what the temp. It's probably in the mid 40s.
It was 46 when.
46.
That's what my truck said when we got here.
I guess I didn't
The other thing we got going for us, I don't know if this holds true or not. Other people can maybe send you a message and tell you, but we're very close to a full moon too.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that alone gets them moving.
I mean, that helps any migration. Like a few ducks, geese, even middle of the season. I mean, so much of a migration, I think, centers around a full moon. So that won't hurt us, but we're not exactly seeing a lot of flocks of migrators today. But this hunt, for a hunt like this, for this type of a deal, you're not really focused on those birds until probably 8 o'clock, maybe 9 o'clock.
7:30 to noon.
It takes that guy's close. Like he's on the others. He's like by that cornfield.
Yeah, he's close.
And I'm assuming by the slow.
We're just judging. We're judging, trying to figure out where this other hunter is, and we're kind of surprised to have him out here, I guess. But he's probably not even half a mile. Which I know for a lot of guys, a half mile away for the nearest hunter would be a very blessed thing at this moment. But sitting where we are, we just didn't expect to have somebody here by us. But he is on someone else's land, so be it. And probably a kid, judging by the slow pace of the shots in between each other, shooting at some birds flying overhead, I'm guessing. Yesterday we actually had a group. We pulled up in here, and it's this piece of land that shares a field road to two different big pieces of property. And I pulled up, and there was already like 3 trucks ahead of me coming down the road, and I was like, what in the hell is going on? Thinking there would only be just the few of us hunting together. And one of them was a friend of mine, ours, I guess, and I asked him, I said, who in the hell's that? He goes, some guys are hunting up north of us and some flooded stuff. So they didn't bother us. They were shooting teal, and we were shooting geese, and that was just kind of a surprise to see all the red taillights in front of me. It's one of those moments where you're going, oh shit, this is going to be a zoo. But luckily wasn't a zoo at all, really.
No, it didn't affect us.
We actually somehow had our best flock of geese that we killed and had work us came either. We're not positive if they shot at them. Or
I think they shot at them.
Yeah, I mean they're only a half mile away, and this fucking geese disappears behind the tree line. You hear a boom barrage, and then the next thing you know, geese come back up over the tree line, and I'm thinking there's zero chance that we're even gonna get them to look at us. And next thing you know, we got wings locked, and we're getting on them pretty good. And they actually circled us like 3 or 4 times, each pass killable. And the last time, they conveniently were about 5 yards off the top of the blind on my side, and that pretty much filled us out for the day. I think we had one left at that point, and that was for Bill to shoot. And other than a slight struggle or two, which I may have video footage of.
So we had one more. We had one more to go, and I told those guys, I don't think I've shot very well today.
Yeah.
And so they said, all right, Bill, you get the last one. It didn't go very well.
Yeah, the one came in. Well, a big flock came over, actually.
Yeah.
And it kind of exactly what I was hoping, what I wanted to happen, happened. And one single broke off while the other ones kept going. I'm like, oh boy. So I fumble for my phone and get it in video. Couldn't get it in focus through the weeds, which for his sake is a little bit of a saving grace in terms of the quality.
You still filmed it.
The quality, yeah, I still got evidence of what happened. Mm-hmm. And the bird comes right over the top of us at like 30 yards, setting down. Like we're sitting in a not a permanent blind, but a kind of a fixed blind at the moment. And we actually have the decoys so that the birds are going to like bank right on top of us or come right over us. And we're covered well enough that it works. But so this goose comes right over top of us, and it's banking right over the top of us, and wings locked, feet down. And my video camera, my cell phone happened to be right over Bill's shoulder as he was shooting, and it caught 2 very clear misses.
And the reason not 3 is because I didn't have 3 shells in my gun.
Yeah, exactly.
So not only were you having a bad day shooting, then Phil adds a little pressure to it to make it even worse on you, Bill.
Well, I didn't even know he was filming, and everyone stayed down. I don't know. Yeah. I just one of those days.
Well, so anyways.
Well, everybody's had them.
This goose must have been a fairly uneducated one, which is rare for this area. We actually got him back. Same goose. Mm-hmm. We got him back, called him over, then he flew over my side. Got the kill shot, I'll say. I just helped. But yeah, anyways. We
were lucky enough to know we got a band yesterday.
No, I didn't.
Oh yeah. Nice. Yeah, we killed the band.
That's cool.
Yeah, buddy's
it was
dad
banded in this area, but 2 years ago.
Yeah. Which is weird because like I remember back when I lived here, this is when they started banding birds around Waseca pretty heavily. Well, it's not where we are, but they started banding birds here heavily. What was that?
Is there somebody talking or a cow?
I think it was a cow.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like a whiny type moan. Anyways, yeah, they banded all these birds around here, and we killed a lot of geese back then between our little group, and we barely ever got a band from Waseca. All of our bands were
Hold on 1 second. False alarm.
I think it's a cow.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're from, look, there's almost no shooting.
No, it got quiet quick.
Yeah, yesterday from like shooting time until an hour after, it was just like a constant roar in the background. But yeah, we never hardly killed any geese banded here. I mean, sometimes barely a mile from where they were banded we were hunting, and we never shot any. And here now, we plucked a couple off in the last couple of years that were banded here from a distance. I should mention that we got my dog Echo with too. She's
maybe they've heard her whining a couple times.
Yeah, just sitting outside the blind. She's a pretty quiet dog, so you shouldn't hear her too often, hopefully. Except maybe me telling her to go get something, hopefully soon enough here. Once we get the geese up and flying.
Yeah, I can't
believe how dead.
It's quiet.
I mean, yesterday,
no shooting.
I'd say, and granted, it's the second day of season, but yesterday at this time, we'd probably seen 500 ducks fly by already.
I saw a couple flocks early when we first started recording, but then that's been it.
I haven't really seen a duck. I've been sitting down in here a little bit too, more than normal. So
we've had a lot of rain, so there's a ton of spots for these birds to go.
How much rain have we gotten last week?
Well, I heard like a couple days last week. I think we got 7 inches.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So there's water standing in spots where there's normally not water, and the birds don't have to use their traditional marshy kind of habitat. They're in a lot of flooded fields and grasses and different things, and there's birds spread out, so they don't really get the pressure like they normally would on kind of opening day.
Yeah, for sure.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I went for a little drive yesterday. I'm staying at Bill's house, which isn't located not too terrible far from where we're hunting here, and he had some work to do yesterday, and I just went out for a drive last evening, check out some old stomping grounds, and there was plenty of water in every slough, and as you're going, like, all the creeks are full, and a car or birds?
Car.
Oh, yep. And so everything was full. I can only imagine how many ducks are just sitting out of sight somewhere where nobody can see them. So it's a little different hunting situation than you have normally around this vicinity at this time. So kind of. Oh, you hear one?
Mm-hmm.
Close or far?
That's a ways off, but
on the other side of the woods.
So we've got
that's definitely geese.
Yeah.
Don't see them though.
So we've got this to our south, our southwest a little bit.
Yeah.
We've got a pretty big woods. Not really that far. It's probably closer than we'd normally set up to a woods, but the spot in the field has really good cover, so we set up here, so this woods is on a little bit of a hill, and it kind of blocks our vision to that direction, which happens to be where a fair amount of the local geese come from. We don't see the migrants. The molts are coming from typically northwest or straight north, but this one,
they're definitely.
Oh yeah, they're coming. They're going.
It sounds like they're just on the other side of the trees, but I can't see them.
I think it's just one.
Oh yeah,
he's coming.
He's coming. He's going now.
No, he is.
What the hell?
That almost sounds like a guy calling.
No way.
No, that's a hell of a good call. It is.
Dude,
I'm going to go meet him. I'm going to go meet him.
No, but it's just like, it's
the same thing over and over.
That's what I mean.
There he is.
There he comes. Who's shooting?
Nice. I'll take a miss this
time. Okay.
Can we video it?
Sure. We got him floating over the top here at about 60 right now. Jesus, come on, dude. Get down here. Let's see if he passes over there.
Yeah.
Alright, well, we got a little...
Oh, no. He's turning.
He's turning. Completely given.
Alright, he just went back the way he came from. Maybe not. He's still behind our woods, but we just had him about 35 over the top of the blind and let him go. Thinking
he's working the other side of the woods now.
He's going to land over with the goats or the donkey or whatever it is.
Donkey over there.
Yeah. Or the rooster. Yeah, like a little hobby farm, kind of not hobby.
Oh,
farm.
here he comes again.
Oh yeah. Holy cow, he's on a mission now. What is this thing doing? What in the hell?
And that time he kept going. Goofy Goose.
I tell you, I've always said that singles are some of the most, well, either the easiest or the hardest to get in. Because now here he comes
Is
back.
he really?
Yeah,
First he flew up, he
swinging around.
flew back the way he came from, behind the woods, came back over the woods like a banshee,
Yeah, he
just
was
hauling
flying
ass
around.
over us. And is he coming back again now, or is he
No,
going?
he's going.
Turn and then he's going away again.
If he does come back, maybe we'll just go silent. See
Yeah.
if it makes a difference.
Yeah. And so he walked on forever. Excuse the sound here. Got to dig in and get some jerky.
Yeah, singles are weird like that. Like they either it's
Suicide or
right, and if they, I don't know. There's always an exception to every situation, but it's usually right away hard,
yep.
or not at all.
Got me some sweet and hot jerky.
I suppose we should go over the snacks, what we got going on here. So you got Harborough gummy bears supplied by Mike.
Mike was good enough. He was at the, I don't know if it's like really size-wise the world's largest candy store, but
it says Minnesota's largest candy store.
no, Minnesota's largest candy store.
Was that on 169?
Yeah.
Yeah. By Jordan.
And it definitely has the biggest selection of Harbos I've ever seen in my life.
So I have a little special place in my heart for Haribo gummy bears, and he brought me 3 different bags of them. One with the originals, which are my favorite, but I've also got Haribo Volcano Fizz and Mini Rainbow Frogs gummy candies. So I'm going to open up later when I need a little more energy.
Yeah.
Haribos are kind of my favorite thing to throw in my pack when I'm elk hunting or turkey hunting for a little boost of energy.
Yeah,
It's like immediate shot to the system.
Yeah.
Did you take him elk hunting or not?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously?
I burned through them right
It's-
away, though.
It's a necessity.
How does sugar candy make the weight?
It's just got a ton of energy. So, yeah.
Yeah, your sugar
Being
content.
serious?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's pure sugar. It's
like when you're going on like long or hard hikes where you're really burning a lot of energy, it's like an immediate. I mean, you can eat them, and within a few minutes,
Yeah.
I mean, your body is using that energy because it's such a raw sugar, basically.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like dumping like alcohol into your Top Fuel Funny car or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. Or nitro. Nitro.
What did you guys... You prepared a bunch of food, didn't you, Phil, for that hunt?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we both.
Or did you
Ended
too?
up, we both
Yeah,
had the
I
same.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's it's a whole different mindset compared to, waterfall. Just the whole
It
thing.
isn't even in the same league when you see like what we eat in the duck boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, just you have different forms of preparation for a big game hunt like
Yeah.
that. We were packing in Colorado. We walked in almost 7 miles,
Yeah.
and to carry everything that
7
you're
miles up
basically
and
gonna
in.
hunt with for 10 days
Mm-hmm.
is a whole different mindset than you go out to the goose blind or duck blind. It's
Drop your stuff off at the drive up to your hunting spot.
yeah.
I mean, it's just a whole different mindset. So that's something I certainly wasn't used to, and to do it for the first time a couple years ago
Mm-hmm.
is
Is that a goose
a
again?
heck of a learning experience. That's for sure.
Hear what?
Maybe.
God, we should have shot that one. Son of a-
No,
that was right there.
he was...
He looked like he was gonna kind of work down.
Yeah,
I
know.
thought
I got a little antsy. I sometimes just like that straight over the top shot, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's
it's
one
like-
thing. He
they're
did get
nice.
right over the top. But remember who was the one that was going to
This is
shoot.
true. We'll get him landed and
We
set
gotta
it up.
get him
If they're
caught.
not... That's why I learned how to be a good goose hunter. If they're not about 20 yards or closer.
Oh, man.
So what did you guys all pack for food? Obviously, Mountain House, right?
Yeah, we made some granola. Like our breakfast for 22 days out of 24 was granola. I cooked up. I think we both used the same recipe basically.
Yeah.
I found it online and sent it to him, but basically just took oats and sugar and honey and
Like a wet mixture of all this stuff?
yeah, then you just cook it, you bake it for a while. So it's just a granola mix, and then we brought dried fruits, strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, throw them into each one, and we did that, and
then you add,
I think I had like
just
almonds,
a powdered milk.
Powdered milk was the key thing. Just then you dump a little bit of water. Typically, what we would do, we would just take that, carry it with us, and then like on our mule deer hunt, every morning we'd go glass somewhere, and we just dump that in, and you kind of eat it as you go and bring a spoon along.
You had it in like servings, like in a little sandwich bag.
Serving
Put it in a bag,
Ziploc bag,
a freezer bag.
Yeah,
and then you just add your water to that to whatever you wanted, and
let it sit for a minute and go to
perfect.
town. It's pretty good. I mean, I got a little sick of it after a while, but we didn't really have a choice, I guess. So we had that. That was our breakfast. And then we typically had like some kind of bars. Like Mike had some homemade bars, and then I had just some like Pro Bar or something like that.
Like comparable to the Cliff Bars and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
similar to Cliff. More calories typically than the Cliff Bar. Like I think the ones I had were like 350 to 400 calories per like 8-ounce bar, which is pretty good. And then we'd have a snack typically during the day, which I slacked on it. I didn't bring enough snacks for the mule deer hunt, so I was kind of jonesing for candy all the time on that, or extra energy. And then, the evening was the treat. That was when you got the warm mountain house, which I don't know if anybody mountain house isn't exactly hot in the waterfowl world, so if you're not familiar with what it is, it's just a freeze-dried food. Comes in almost like a metal bag. I don't know, it's tin or what they do to keep it.
Yeah, it's like
tinfoil,
almost like an aluminum,
like tinfoil bag,
coating.
aluminum foil to keep it. So once you put hot water in, it keeps it warm.
Is it like a tinfoil? Can you put cold water in and like set it next to the campfire? Or not? Or would it burn
they're
out?
like
that wouldn't work.
They've almost have like a plastic coating on the outside, and there's like
the bags do burn.
It's basically like if you think of like those heat type blankets, those real thin ones, like survivor space blanket type thing. It's almost like that, but inside the packaging, so it's kind of a layer in there. And they work really well, but you pretty much have to have boiling water.
Yeah, so they're basically like an MRE, like in the military, or it's a freeze-dried thing, and there are all these different flavors. But
what was your favorite kind, Mike?
I like a lot of the chicken ones, but what was that? Primavera.
Pasta
Primavera.
God, that was good.
That one was the best.
It's a dang vegetarian one, and I swear it was the best one.
That one was good.
Like that was the one we looked forward to. Oh, here come some cranes.
I think those things are underutilized, though. Those mountain houses. There's so many instances where those would be so nice.
Yeah.
See, that's what I always think too. Like waterfall hunting, I think would be
because everybody has. I mean, nobody has a fancy like me and my duck boat. I've got a stove and an oven, and most people don't have it. All they have is typically just like the heaters that you turn upside down or sideways, and you could just heat water super easy in one of those on that and dump it in the dang mountain house, stir it up, and let it sit for 10 minutes, and you've got.
You could even bring a thermos of hot water.
Yeah, you'd have to have it hot.
Yeah, you'd have to have it like boiling. Have your thermos prepared, and then have the thing. But I mean, if it's in a Yeti, it's just going to stay hot forever. So that's what everybody has now. But no, if you had a thermos full of
what's it? Oh, those cranes. Yeah. God, they freaked me out.
That's a pretty good flock of them.
Yeah, it is.
Is there 5?
5 of them?
I think there's 5 or 6.
2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
Speaking of that, I wonder if that was that same flock yesterday that we got down, covered up, called that.
Well, we let one flock of geese, or a single, go because it wasn't working quite right, and we had a flock of cranes locked up on us like perfectly. We were thinking they were geese in the distance. Like, oh, these ones are coming. Let's just
they're setting up.
Yeah, let's settle down a little bit. Oh, sure as shit. Turns out they're cranes coming in. But yeah, those mountain houses would actually make really good like duck boat meals. Now that you say that, Maybe we can get on the Mountain House Pro staff now.
But it doesn't have to be hot, right? You can eat that stuff. Like, you could put cold water in and let it sit.
Well, the problem is, like, the
It'd be
heat,
gross.
like, activates and kind of rehydrates everything a lot better than, like, cold.
Yeah.
I think cold, you'd still have a lot of, like, I don't know, I think it'd be hard and,
Like,
crunchy.
Okay.
There was someone talking about that on another podcast lately where they just dumped in cold water.
And I thought he let it sit for the day.
Yeah, you have to like sit for hours.
Oh, yeah. I could see that
It'd
working.
be gross. I
I mean,
mean,
he carries it around with him, and
It
be like,
wouldn't
could you imagine
nearly as
eating-
satisfying.
could you imagine eating like cold beef stroganoff or cold lasagna or cold, I mean, anything? Just it wouldn't be very appetizing. Yeah.
I guess I could speak to that firsthand. The first night we were in Colorado, we had a pretty hard drive, and I didn't have hardly any sleep, and we were so excited we weren't really using our brains, and we drove pretty much straight through the day, didn't hardly eat anything, and when we hiked in, we had about a 7-mile hike.
7-mile hike on 4 hours of
2,500
sleep,
feet or
no
so.
food since breakfast, and we got there in late afternoon.
And it just was not a good combination. We definitely were not thinking on that.
Yeah.
And when we got in,
I thought I was going to have to resuscitate Mike.
yeah, I was feeling pretty miserable, and I think I had a little bit of issue at altitude as well. So I was like really upset, like just everything, just
lightheaded, feeling like you're gonna pass out.
Yeah, my
Headache,
stomach was
stomach
hurting.
ache.
So
He had it all.
So the first night we made our meal.
At the end of your hike, when you got to camp, you were feeling that
Yeah,
way?
we got camp set up, and I was just like I had to kind of grind through getting camp set up because I was feeling pretty bad, and Phil's like, dude, you got to eat,
Like,
drink,
you need to eat and drink
something.
something.
I'm like, I don't think I can.
Now, you didn't even. No, you didn't say that. You just went.
I was definitely hurting.
Like curled up in sleep, like.
So
Dude,
I
you gotta eat.
I had my mountain house sitting there, and it was good to go. It was warm and hot, and I took like 2 bites, and I'm like, oh, I thought I was gonna lose it. So I just kind of laid my sleep bag for a while, and I don't know, I fell asleep and kind of woke up, and throughout the night it's sitting next to me, and I just like reach over, and I knew I had to eat, so I just like try to take a spoonful of this cold mountain house, and it
had
was
to be so gross.
It was not good.
Ugh. Like the granola stuff you could do cold,
Right.
which was cool.
Yeah, it was
handy.
not a good scenario, but the next day I woke up and I was feeling good, so that was a bonus.
Yeah, like you woke
felt
up.
just fine.
I woke up and I was like hoping you were gonna be alive.
Yeah, I was hurting. I think the altitude got to me, and then just the circumstances of the trip going in just was not ideal. So
It was a long, hard hike in with 50 pounds on your back. I was stupid and made the mistake of carrying all my camera stuff in, which I'm glad I did now, but at the time of the hike, I was not enjoying having an extra,
weren't liking the extra pounds.
like 11 or 12 pounds on your back. Is not.
it was
very,
definitely worth having, though. I mean, we got some really cool pictures,
super cool pictures,
and good memories for sure. I think that's one of the best parts about having it is just
the good memories.
The memories.
Yeah, it's good to have it when you're there. It just sucks bringing it in and out.
Right.
I can't imagine them dudes that do like film like big game hunts, real big game hunts with real like video cameras and weeks worth of big batteries and storage equipment. And dude, I'd be dead.
Yeah, that's impressive that those guys do that, because it definitely is not an easy deal.
No, because it's in addition to all your regular just camping stuff that you need just to survive, and then you have to bring that instead. But I suppose you wouldn't have a bow. You wouldn't have
you're not carrying any hunting gear.
A couple other little things that maybe you wouldn't have, but still, I'm sure they're carrying 60, 70 pounds around the mountain. Yikes. Was that one?
I don't know, maybe.
There's a flock of ducks behind us here. They're pretty high.
Some teal buzzing through.
Yeah.
God, what a nice morning.
Yeah,
Sun's out. Smidge of clouds, so there's just a bunch of pretty colors in the sky.
I was just thinking too, this was like our super dead time yesterday.
Yeah, this is when we didn't see anything.
And then when the sun got a little higher, it's like it woke the geese up and they started moving.
It's kind of how those things work.
Mm-hmm.
It's always just kind of dead.
You got a little bit of early stuff right away, and then a dead period.
Yeah, you always want to be out for the early ones like we had this morning.
And then that usually seems like it doesn't happen, but when it does, it's cool. But yeah, as soon as you get that like hour after sunrise or half hour after sunrise type deal, everything kicks in and starts moving. We had a time period yesterday where we kind of had geese like every which direction from us.
Yeah. Yeah, we had geese to the north, to the west.
Not necessarily coming in.
No,
but
just
we
all
just had
around
geese
us.
to watch and keep an eye on from every which direction. So, yeah, that's exciting when it's like that. Man, that sweet and hot of that Jack Lynx is kind of spicy.
I better verify that.
Well, you have to verify in a small piece, but there's not much left. I got some original left too. I need to get these geese that I shoot on here and do some jerky up. God, the last few years ago when we actually had geese left in South Dakota. I shot a lot. We I had pounds and pounds of goose jerky, and it was awesome. I haven't made any for a few years now, so.
You have a good recipe for that?
You know, it's super easy. Because I used to bring it to work, and everybody asked me what the recipe was, and
Yeah.
all I did was the key. I think is you got to clean all the gunk off of it, as much like the silver skin and that kind of junk, and then I soaked mine for like 5 or 6 days.
Oh, wow.
And I would like take it and we would slice it like to the. I don't remember how Rebecca always did it. It was like an 1/8 inch or a 1/4 inch that she would slice it to. It must have been an 1/8 inch, fairly thick. Then when it was sliced, then I would soak that with salt in a big pot in the fridge for like days, and I would take it. In the first few days, I'd always take and like smash that, like work it in with my hands to like get all the blood out.
Yep.
So and I would do that for 5 minutes or 10 minutes at first, like just over running water to get the majority of the blood out. And then each time, each of the next few days, I'd change that water out. And as I did it, I'd smash more of the meat down and get more of the blood out. And so by the 3rd or 4th day, there was hardly any blood coming out. And I just leave it in there with salt then for a few days to suck any extra out. And then I used that High Mountain jerky kits. I think I used there's a pepper or a Cajun one, I think, and then just an original, and then there's a goose. They make a specific goose one. I think it has like a goose on the front. I used that one. Picked those up at Cabela's and we worked there. And
so kind of the soaking process. I mean, you were soaking them over the course of that
5 days was like the key. I think
I
that's
just wanted
the key.
to make sure because it sounded like you soaked it and then you cut it up and then soaked it again for like
3
or 4 days. So I was just making
I think we soaked it one day, cut it up, and then then you soak it for quite a while to get all that gunk up. I love it. You guys can't hear it.
I don't know
There's a donkey in the background going, oh, okay. Kind of sounds like a goose, but we hear it once in a while. It just sounds hilarious. Anyways, yeah, that stuff was the jerky was awesome. I'd take it into work and people I'd bring, you think goose jerky is being kind of just something you do to get rid of geese, but it was awesome. I'd bring it in there and people would eat up like a 1-gallon bag in less than a day, so it was good. I just need to get some more of it.
That would be a good food you could bring to the.
Yeah, we talked about. I'm
on your mountain trip.
Yeah, that'd be really good for that.
Yeah, jerky's great.
Yeah, it's fairly lightweight since there's no water in it.
You got to worry about salt intake.
Sodium, the dang mountain houses are full of sodium and salt.
You do need a fair amount of sodium when you're in that situation.
I don't know if it dries you out too much because you're always.
Yeah, drink. You're supposed to drink a lot. I'm not very good at drinking a lot of water, but on the days when it's hot, you definitely go through a lot of water. I mean, you're constantly stopping at creeks and stuff, filling up your bottles. And it's amazing how much water you go through.
You ran all your water through one of those pumps?
Yeah, through a filter.
Was that annoying to do or not?
I mean, it's just something you do. It's like you just got to do it.
A couple different systems we used. We used one where you'd pump the water through a filter, And then we have another one that is really small and portable. It's probably like the size of, I don't know, like one of those fat.
A really heavy-duty Sharpie marker, yeah.
One of the big ones. But it's basically about that size, and it's actually like a light that
UV light.
UV, and it kills all the
bad
stuff in the water.
And you had that or not?
Yeah,
Mike
so
had that.
We'd hike. I had that. And
To me, that
a regular filter, but it's weird. But they're like very well established as being a proven, very safe method.
Of like any form of water.
Yeah.
It's like you could scoop up from an elk wallow and use that, and you'd be good to go.
Yeah,
could.
I mean,
It's still gonna taste like
you're still gonna
crap,
be drinking elk piss, but
Yeah.
yeah, you could. I mean, it'll kill the stuff that's in it, but
It hurts,
you're
yeah.
still
You have to stomach
you
it
still
down
gotta
yet.
Stomach the taste of whatever it is you're drinking. So
Yeah.
I mean,
And the smells are all there the same.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, yep.
God, that just would not feel right to me to just wave a little laser.
It works, yeah.
In most of the instances, we're drinking fairly clean.
Yeah, you're
water.
drinking like the stuff that they talk about where they brew Coors Light from, like fresh from the mountain, like the water looks beautiful. Even there's still stuff in it. That's why we filter it. But it looks like amazing and it tastes awesome. You just got to kill a few bad things in there once in a while.
All right, so Mike recovered from his near-death experience.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah,
guys,
we haven't really given you the full story of the hunt even.
no.
Okay. So
you were in Colorado.
this is Colorado.
What elevation?
We were camped right at about 11,000, just short of 11,000 feet.
And then from 11,000, we basically went up from there.
Yeah,
So
that was every morning. We
were high.
So it was
And were you on that fringe of like
this was a mule deer hunt.
tree? Oh yeah.
And so what the deal is these mule deer the bucks are still in velvet, and they, from what I can gather, I mean, I'm not a mule deer expert by any means, but from what we've gathered is that they don't live in the woods at this time because the velvet is probably tender, and their antlers, they don't like messing around with that, so they kind of live up in like the high country, right at tree line. Essentially, they're where the trees kind of peter out. Was that a goose or no?
No, I think it was your dog. Yeah.
It was something different than that. But anyways, they live at where the trees start to peter out, and the rocks and the trees and brush kind of all intermix a little bit. I think the altitude probably depends on the specific terrain, but for us, we were at about 11,000 feet, hunting up to not quite 12,000 feet. And we picked the spot we wanted to hunt because it's the end of a bowl, like the mountain valley ends in a bowl at the end, and at the end of the mountain was big burly looking rock face stuff that you'd need climbing gear to get up, and that you wouldn't see me up going up anyways, even with that. But and then like around this bowl, the end of this valley, there was like a ridge right in the middle of it that kind of popped up. From that ridge, we could glass and access both sides of the valley walls pretty easily. Is that a goose?
No.
God, I keep thinking I hear it.
You're antsy over there.
Yeah. Right, it's been a while.
Fired up.
So we would camp. We camped kind of on this little ridge, and then we would hike up another like 300 or 400 feet every morning to our glassing spot, which basically consisted of a little rock ledge that we sat on that we could look at one particular side that we liked to hunt more than another side, just because the terrain was a little more accessible, easier to stalk in. These deer would live on these side hills, and we'd just essentially every morning at sunrise or whenever we got up, hike up to a spot, plop down with our binoculars. Which
When did you get up? Like light out?
We'd get up.
About sunrise. Well, before sunrise.
Probably like about a half hour
About
before
shooting
we'd
time.
be up, and we'd be glassing by I don't know, by sunrise for sure.
Yeah,
But,
for sure.
Usually we're up.
We
there a
weren't
little
early risers. It was
Not-
cold.
Yeah, not super.
We,
early.
guys who probably have more experience mule deer hunting and doing this can chime in otherwise, but we didn't really see a huge benefit to being up super early most of these days because it seemed as if the deer were still moving, at least for us, at an hour or two after sunrise anyways.
Yeah,
so it didn't really pay off to be there in the dark and lose sleep because kind of precious when you're up till 11 o'clock at night anyways, and then getting up super early is kind of a pain, but whatever. But yeah, we'd get up right at light, like basically enough where you didn't need a headlight.
Okay.
To do most things, like maybe tie your shoes or do something like that. But so that's we'd glass these things, and you'd spend. There's probably some days where I spent 8 hours glassing, like between just in the morning, and then we'd alternate going on stalks as we found deer. We were lucky to be in an area that had a fair, not tons of deer, not an overabundance, but it had enough that
it had enough numbers where we'd be
we were
looking at deer every day.
Yeah. Like we were looking at deer and some nice deer every single day. And like what we would do is we would just alternate who went on a stalk each time. So like I remember like Mike went on one that took a super long time one day, and so I spent like 8 hours or 10 hours like behind binoculars just watching between him, watching what he was doing, and then watching other deer in the area just to kind of keep a tab on them. Mm-hmm. So like
that particular day I sat on a deer for I don't know how long it was. It was a good chunk of the day. It was a number of hours.
I sat
4 hours or whatever it was. I snuck in. I was pretty close to the deer, probably I would say 60 yards maybe.
Yeah, I think that's
to where it was bedded, and it was in like a real thicket that you just couldn't see him. There's no way to sneak in on him and get a shot, so I just had to kind of wait for him to come out, and I sat above it with the wind right for I don't know, it had to have been
a couple hours.
Right, 3 or 4 hours, I would say.
It was a long time.
And just wait, trying to hope that
they walk out your way.
Yeah, there was kind of 2 ways he could feed out of there, and he ended up going the other way, which is unfortunate. But it was that was a good deer. That was something. That was a nice one, similar to what Phil shot.
Yeah. So that's kind of how we would do it. We would just alternate. I think we each went on a stalk pretty much every day. Which doesn't seem like a lot unless maybe I know there's times where people don't go on stalks every day, but by the time you get up, glass them, find them, get to them, get yourself in a position, either you get busted or not get busted. That takes up a few hours, that whole process. And then the next guy goes on one that evening. It's kind of one a day is kind of a pretty good, if you're by yourself, you could do more.
Yeah, and there was days, we'd get one stock in between the two of us.
Yeah.
There was quite a few of those days.
Yeah, for sure. Like, the day I shot mine, we each went on one, but that was like independent of each other. Like,
yeah.
We both had a stalk at the same time, so we just went and did it.
What would be your plan if you each went on a stalk and were separated by a large distance? Just know that at night...
Yeah, you just end up back at camp.
Back at camp.
We had kind of like mutual places we hung out, like our glassing spots. We had 2 or 3 different glassing spots that we'd be at or camp. So you knew where we were going to be one way or another. I mean, it's almost impossible to get lost in this valley because... you're in a valley. Like, unless you'd have to like specifically try to climb up and over the mountaintop to really get somewhere where you didn't know where you were.
Yeah, it would take some. I mean, the only way you'd ever really get lost where we were is if it got dark.
Or it snowed or something like super hard snow or fog or something like that, which we never had.
Then you could probably get pretty disoriented.
Yeah,
and end up in a possible situation, but other than that, it was pretty easy to know where you were and where you were going.
Yeah, really kind of nice having that little deal. Like, and we were camped in a spot that was kind of like all the terrain kind of like funneled into the spot where we were camped, so it was pretty easy to get around. Yeah, like the day that I shot mine, we both went separate ways, and we didn't see each other. And we left. Oh, there was a first one. Where is he?
He didn't sound that far away.
He's behind that. I think he's over the sweet cornfield.
Yeah, there's a sweet corn field over that way, and there was a fair amount of them sitting in there yesterday.
Yeah, we actually got some coming out of that, didn't we? We got like one.
Yeah.
That was the last one.
Yeah.
That last one we got.
They came out of there, yeah. Oh,
he's coming.
There he is.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
what are the odds that it's the one that just the single that took off?
Probably. Well, we'll find out in a
Very
minute.
possible.
That's the same one, I think.
It's gotta be. You kidding me? Ah, man, I hate singles so much. Like just that little split second when he was out there, a couple 100 yards, he kind of looked good, and then
Kind of tighten those wings up
yeah,
a little bit.
and then no. Let me see you.
He's got to be getting tired eventually. Maybe
The third time he comes back, he'll be so tired of come in.
wore out.
Yeah, like all right, I give up. I give up. You won. I need somewhere to sit.
He's just flying. He doesn't know where he's going. He's
No.
just
No, he's
going the other way.
zigzagging.
Just having a good time.
Just enjoying the fresh air.
Yeah, now he said it's a nice morning. He must think the same
Yep.
thing. And he's starting to come back.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's just
You don't have a
flying
flag, do you, Mike?
I was gonna bring one, but just in the
Ah.
circumstance, I just didn't because I knew he'd be like flagging. It's just hard to flag out of something
Yeah.
like this.
We all forgot flags. I didn't bring flags.
It's a
Yeah.
tough spot to flag from.
I had it. I
You
had
need
it on
extend
top
it.
of my bag this morning, and I took it off.
Huh.
I'm like, we won't need it.
So that's not forgetting them. It's intentionally leaving.
Yes.
All right.
And then, yeah, there's instances where it'd definitely be nice to have.
I might have to make a run over to Cabela's and get one. Or probably somewhere else.
No, you're not going to have to run to Cabela's to get
I was
one.
gonna say, I think we got you covered.
I don't know if I even have one anymore.
You remember what my last name is, right?
There's a
Yeah,
flock,
that's right.
flock of ducks back behind us coming over. There's
Um,
a pie.
Do you have some of Randy's flags then?
A ton.
Do you?
Yeah.
Like good, like the T
Oh, yeah.
flag? T flags or the fancy? I just want the plain old T flag.
I got T flags. I got duck flags. I got, I don't know even what you want to call them, like those full body flags.
Mhm.
Tons of poles.
Yeah, Bill's last name is Bartz, which if anybody who's familiar with the flagging world, Randy Bartz is pretty much the inventor of he's the flag man. Who hopefully, actually, we hope to get on here maybe this week. I gotta touch base with him now in the vicinity, see if he can come over for a day and hunt and chat with us. But he's the man when it comes to flagging geese. So yeah, so we were talking about our deer hunt.
Yours. You started talking about getting yours.
We interrupt the story.
Yeah, bye for a goose. Hopefully we have a lot of interruptions.
You're right.
We like the day I shot mine. Oh, let's grab one, yeah. The day we shot mine. It was like 7 in the morning, right at sunrise. I found a group of deer, like 6 deer, kind of hanging out low on the mountain. I'm not going to give the super detailed story of it, but the mini long version. And these deer were in a spot that was pretty susceptible to a stalk, I thought. So I weaseled my way down off the mountain or off our rock face and got pretty quick. I got within like 70 yards of them, and they were in this little clump of trees, pine trees. And there was like 4 bucks and a doe, or 5 bucks and a doe. I don't remember exactly. One of them was a big buck, the one I ended up shooting. And there was like a 140 or so. I'm not a great judge of deer by any means, but approximately that deer, and then a couple smaller 4-point bucks. And I got up on them, and I was like one, I was in a clump of trees and there was like a rocky, grassy field in front of me, and then there was up the hill. Wind was in my face. It was perfect. After like half hour or so watching these things, maybe more than that, I don't even know. They kind of moved off a little bit, like up the hill, and I thought they were on the ledge enough where they wouldn't be able to see me kind of over this break. So I ended up crawling, trying to crawl. Two of them to like this next big boulder that was like 40 yards away from where they were, thinking that if they moved out, I'd have a spot to snipe one when they came out to feed again in this grass. Well, I made like 3 crawls, and a doe that had bedded on the edge of the trees busted me. I didn't see her when I was glassing for her in there. She busted me, stands up, stomps her feet, bounces off a few steps. They all kind of get alert, but none of them really freak out. With a doe and another buck kind of like trotted off away from me. So I was like, oh shit, blew that one. Thinking I was kind of done. I waited probably another half hour for them to make sure, like I watched them get out of the area. I kind of lost them for a bit because there's some trees. So I waited till I thought for sure they were gone. I kind of sneaked back into where they had just been, glassed for them, found them across what was like an avalanche or a landslide, I guess it would be, like a big rock, a big boulder field essentially. So at that point I kicked off my shoes and put like heavy pair of wool socks on, like stocking on them. They were probably 150 or 200 yards away, and they were working their way up to this like another patch of trees up on this rock face. And I end up working my way across this rock, this boulder face, and that took a long time in itself, just getting there, especially without shoes on. It kind of sucks. So I get to like 70 yards away from where they had bedded, and my max shooting range is 60. And I didn't really want to shoot that far. I would only have been under like an absolute ideal scenario. So I was hoping like to keep it to 50, ideally 40. Mm-hmm. And so I really slowly like worked my way up behind a boulder and behind another tree and behind a boulder. I get to like 40 yards from where like they would have stepped out behind this rock face to feed again. And I was going to be in business. The wind was perfect. And I sat there for and I'd left my pack, so this is something that I'd recommend never doing if you're on this hunt. Don't ever leave your pack, and especially if you leave all your extra clothes with it, because what happened was I got stuck in the sun, like where I ended up having to sit was in the sun, not in the shade, and I was sweating to death 1 minute, and then the sun went away, and the wind came, and all I had on was 1 layer of shirt and just some light pants, and I was like shivering the next minute to the point where I could barely like hold still. Well, this went on for like an hour and a half or 2 hours. I watched these things between sweating and shivering, and I'm like not really enjoying life that much at the moment. And I see these deer through a little opening in these trees that they're on. And I see them on the side hill. I'm like, God dang it. So they moved off again. So a real quiet, like sneak up this kind of almost had to climb up this rock face to like get into where they were, where they had been. I get in there, it's like this beautiful little ledge, super thick cover, like a lot of like nice grass inside this thing. It was only like this ledge I'm talking about was like the size of, I don't know, like a house maybe. Like it wasn't
big. It was a big rock or a big boulder.
Yeah, it was like a big like rock face up on top of that was this thing. So like they were kind of packed in this area, and they'd moved off. I got up in there and looked, and they were all gone. So I'm like, all right. So I gotta find some real slowly walking along this edge of this rock face kind of, and there's a few trees sticking up, and I'm looking like parallel to me on the mountain, trying to see them, don't see them. I take like a half a step out from this pine tree, and I look down like to my right. I look like down the rock face. There's some grass and some trees on there, and all I can see is like just this big frame of antlers and a nose, like halfway behind a pine tree, like not far. I'm like, oh shit! So I kind of stop, real slowly ease back behind the pine tree, waiting for all hell to break loose for deer just to start taking off, and they don't. I'm like, oh, wow. So I kind of like slowly kneel down, get my binoculars out, peek over the ledge again and look, and I'm like, sure as shit, it's this big deer. And I range him, he was at 49 yards. Like, oh boy. So I kind of get nervous right away.
And he's bedded down.
He's bedded, yeah. This deer.
Does he have you pegged or not?
I don't know. He was looking up at me, but he looked up that way the whole entire time I was there. So I don't really. I mean, I can't imagine he knew I was there.
I don't think so. He would have been gone.
Yeah.
If he knew.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they sit and they look like. I mean, they bed down and they'll be looking like one direction primarily, and they'll turn their head a little bit. But I mean, they look and cover a pretty, whatever
wide area,
comfortable area. But I mean, they look, in that direction the whole time. So I mean, if he would have seen him, he would have got up and he would have been out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of distance.
They didn't mess around to that distance.
They're not gonna. Yeah, when they were on you, it was game over.
So I see this thing. I mean, all I can remember just seeing like it's this frame of big antler. I'm like, oh my god. So I range him. He's at 49 yards, and I look, and there's another smaller buck right next to him. They're like 5 yards away. So I'm like, all right. So I kind of like, it was windy, so I kind of like nestle myself into a spot on this ledge where I had a little bit like slightly comfortable area. I mean, it wasn't comfortable because there's like pokey stuff underneath me and pine cones, and I got kind of nestled in there where I could just sit on my side for a little bit, and I arrow nocked. I'm ready to go. I range a few spots down in this little spot where they were, thinking when they get up, I'm going to be ready. And so I sat there for probably an hour and a half to 2 hours, right above them at 49 yards, just waiting. Every few minutes I'd look over the ledge, make sure just peek my head up through the brush and make sure they're still there. And sure enough, they're still there. Well, finally, after all this time, I look up one time and there's that deer that I said was like a 140 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's standing up, and I didn't know he was there. He's standing up right in front of the big buck. I'm like, oh boy. So I kind of, wow. I don't understand what they're hunting.
Boy, a spaced out 1, 2, 3 is never a good sign.
No. Yeah, if you hear bang, 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 you can pretty much assure that whatever was flying is still flying.
Yes.
Yeah, so this deer, like, standing there, I'm like, okay, it's go mode. I'm kind of like freaked out. And what the heck did I do? So this thing like fed up towards me and off to my side. Like it started coming up the hill that I was on. And he got to like 30 yards and he spooked a little bit. Not terrible. He just kind of like bounced back down the hill. And I don't know if I can't imagine he winded me. Maybe he saw me move, which I don't know how he'd have done that. But he kind of freaked out and he ended up standing right in front of this bigger deer. Well, I'm thinking these things are all going to take off. This 140 deer, like I'm not like a big trophy hunter. I've never even shot a deer before actually until this. So like this 140's deer was huge for me. So I'm thinking I'm gonna shoot him. So he was at what I thought he was in like the upper 40s for distance, but just standing there. So like, all right, I'm gonna shoot. No, it was the other way around. I thought he was at 33 yards. How the hell did that work?
You thought he was further.
Yeah, I thought he was further. I thought he was at like the mid 40s. So I kind of draw back, get my 50-yard pin, eke up over the edge, put the pin on him, let it fly, and I fly. Arrow flies directly over his vitals, sticks into the ground, almost hits the bigger deer behind him, and I'm like thinking this is not going to go well. Well, he freaked out for a second, ran off a couple feet. The big one stands up, little one stands up, and another one comes out from the brush that I didn't know was there. So there's like now 4 deer standing there, and they didn't run off, which
they didn't know where it came
from. They
didn't
know where the shot.
Yeah,
they didn't know.
They just heard
a shot.
A shot, and it's pretty quiet.
Yeah.
And there's wind.
Yeah,
so.
It was windy, and my bow was fairly quiet. It's like they didn't really know what happened. They just knew something occurred. So they're kind of looking around. Well, then, like, immediately they went back to, like, relaxing. And so now these 2 big deer that from up above in velvet, they both look pretty similar, are walking around down below me. Especially they look similar because, I mean, at this point, like, my mind was like racing. I mean, like when I'm duck hunting, I don't panic when a mallard comes in. I used to when I was little, but like, and I've probably said this before, I've shot like 100 some turkeys, but yet every time like I get like complete, I'm like, my heart's beating, I'm going crazy when a turkey comes in, but I have a gun in my hand, which I'm super comfortable with. And I've been in that situation a lot, so I can make that shot. But like you stick a deer in front of me, which I'm not comfortable in that situation, especially with the bow. I'm not like an archer by birth. I just learn it. And so these 2 deer in front of me, and my mind's running 100 miles an hour trying to kind of pay attention to what's going on and remember to range, distance, and to do all the stuff with your bow. And so this deer, one of the big ones, steps out in front of me, or gets out in an opening, and he's just standing there eating, and I get the rangefinder out, hit him with the rangefinder, and 37 yards. I'm like, all right, I got that. So set the rangefinder back down, scoot back down, draw my bow, or re-knock an arrow, and I draw back, pop up over the ridge real slowly again. And really all I can remember of the whole thing, and I remember everything went fairly well, except that it was really difficult to keep a pin, not even to keep my pin on a spot on the deer, but it was just hard to keep a pin on the deer. I was so nervous. Kind of got myself settled down enough that I could shoot, so I get everything as good as I can, and I let an arrow fly. And I remember when it hit, I was thinking it was a horrible shot. I thought I hit him super, super low and super far back. It turns out that wasn't the case. I mean, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. It certainly wasn't a heart shot. Yeah. I don't quite know what the deal is with that. I have yet to see a bird fly over that way that those shots are coming from. But so I was super bummed. I'm kind of disappointed in myself. Thought this deer was gonna go get away. I watched him run off with the rest of the deer. And as I'm watching him run, I'm just kind of like more and more like just bummed out. So I go back and I grab my shoes and my pack, come back, and I kind of look for my arrow a little bit. Couldn't find that arrow, but I did find the arrow that I missed the one with. And I found a little blood, followed it for just a ways, and decided to back out.
At this time, you had been on these deer.
Oh, yeah, it was like 7 hours.
7 hours, so it's pretty late in the day.
Yeah, it was like
and he had been.
It was like 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Close proximity to these deer for a long time.
I was under 100 yards on these deer.
And the thing I thought was just crazy about the whole, like one of the crazy things about the whole situation is the wind up there.
Yeah.
It was so erratic and so crazy to be within that distance
of
those
lucky.
deer and not have them,
spook
from the wind was impressive just in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And,
yeah.
He would have had to, kind of maneuver in a way to get the wind favorable. That whole time, which is pretty impressive.
It was a pretty good stalk. Like, I mean, for not a guy who doesn't stalk a lot, I was kind of impressed with it. It was fun. Like, I really dug that part of it. Yeah, it was like a 7 hour from the time that I started in on them. The time I shot, it was like 7, well, maybe more than that, maybe 8 hours, because it was 7 a.m. when I started. I shot him after 3. It was like 3:30. It's like 8.5 hours actually. It was a long time. And so I was like bummed. I made this big, awesome stalk, did everything right, and then I thought I completely failed with the shot. So I found this blood. There was a goose for sure. I just heard one. Anyways, so this deer.
Oh, it's right there.
Where is he?
Oh, yeah.
Jesus, he's cruising. Oh my God!
This looks good.
So this goose is like.
So this might be a
300
suicide
yards out. He hit him. I mean, he immediately locked. Oh, son of a bitch!
That's not good.
Somebody just shot. I'd say if he gives you a decent shot. See if he's looking. That shot screwed us
God,
completely.
he was set up nice too.
That shot completely screwed him. Son of a gun.
Yeah, he went from 100% committed to
0% committed,
Right.
just like that.
right. Yeah,
God dang it.
right on that shot.
Alright. Yeah, so back to my deer here. I'll wrap that part up quick. Yeah, so we end up, I go back to camp after I find this blood, and that Greg guy that I mentioned that we met, he was back at camp. I tell him the story, and he was like, "Oh man, it's good you got one, but God, the shot, yada yada." And I was kind of like, I was feeling like crap about it. And then Mike had actually gone on a stalk during all that time. A stalk, I should say, not a stock. During that time, and we ended up meeting back up around sunset, and I told him, and I'm like, "Well, we're not going after it tonight. It was cool at night, so we'll get him in the morning." Like, that was not a real great night of sleep for me, with like pretty much replaying everything through my head.
Yeah, and at that point we thought he was hit really far back. And,
Yeah,
and
really
we
low.
wanted to make sure he had enough time to kind of
Not chase him off.
Right, we
Yep.
just didn't want to bump him.
No, so we're gonna leave him until morning and go find him then. And so we get up the next morning. The plan was that we were gonna go to the area where we glassed from and see if we could see him, if he was alive, just in case. And if we could see him, then I was gonna try to figure out a way to get in on him again, but didn't even really make it that far. We ended up running into some other deer and messed around with them for a little bit. And then we go up to, we're going to go up and find my arrow, I think is what we were going to do.
Yeah, we wanted to verify kind of
Yeah.
the blood and,
Yeah.
and the results on the
Yeah.
arrow.
So we're going to do that. And we didn't even get there, and we ran into like a huge pool of blood. And kind of in the direction of where I'd last found blood before I turned around. And this blood pool was pretty significant. So like, well, this could be all right.
And at that point, we knew it was a little better hit than what
I expected.
we had anticipated.
Yep.
'Cause we thought it was really far back.
Yeah.
And
Oh my God, you guys, 5, 6 right there.
Oh God, don't.
whoa.
There we go.
Okay, this could turn out well.
I can't see him though.
Just gonna have to wait.
That's not good. Yeah, we should have taken them.
Flare a little bit.
They did flare.
Do you think it's all down in
They
here?
must have.
I think they came right over.
Yeah, and they're right over top of us, 20 yards over the top.
Yeah, we should have.
Oh, God. Yeah,
I hear more.
there's more,
There's-
yeah.
I
Somewhere
think
over
it's
the...
I think it's a call.
Do you?
Yeah, it was.
You think that echoing's throwing them off?
Well, they flared to the right. Did you hear their
No.
wings?
That what you just
Oh,
heard
that
was
was?
a call. Somebody I think calling.
Oh.
Yeah, they didn't flare. When they flared, they were on
God
top of
dang,
us.
what was that all?
We probably...
They gave us
were-
the shot.
they were
They gave
right
us the
there.
shot. We're being a little too
Yeah,
greedy
yeah.
about
Trying to get them perfect. All right.
I didn't realize how low they were.
Yeah, they
I
were
was
right.
facing this
Yeah,
way,
I know, I
looking
was
down
too.
because
Well,
once they swung, I didn't want to move.
And I had
They
my
were-
back to him a little bit
Yeah,
too.
God dang it. Hey, Kennel. What are you doing? Kennel. Kennel.
She was expecting different
Kennel.
results.
Yeah, no kidding. Kennel. Kennel, you fit in there. Kennel. I know it's a little tight. I'll get you a bigger one. All right. Yeah, so we started on this blood trail on this deer, and we are going, and at first it was pretty good. Like, we were just able to walk and just kind of point out blood as we're going. And then all of a sudden, like, you know, the terrain change, like as the terrain changes, like when they're on leaves and there's grass and that kind of stuff, it's super easy to trail. But then you get to a spot where it was just dirt, and that was tough.
Yeah, we're dealing with dried
blood on dirt, which is
a ton of it in certain spots, so it was pretty difficult to track.
Yeah, so like, I mean, the deer didn't end up going far. It was probably a 2-hour tracking job to go 200 yards total that we tracked him, and we were on our hands and knees at times and looking for like grass turned out of place and whatnot. And anyways, like, the tracking part wasn't very exciting. Other than I'll say that Mike's an awesome tracker. I would not have found that sucker on my own. But
Phil's told me that a couple times.
So we're going, and I'm on my hands and knees looking for blood in the spot. I kind of noticed that Mike had disappeared a little bit, and all of a sudden he comes walking back to me, and he's making like the hand motion of like shooting a bow. I'm like, what the hell what's that mean?
We had left our stuff a little bit back.
Yeah, we left our
track, and we set our packs and our bow down. And I had just walked ahead in a spot just because I knew that he hadn't probably expired right in front of us. I figured, you know, with the wound that he had, I thought he'd go into a little bit of cover, so I knew kind of right where we were struggling to find blood on the trail. I just walked ahead about 100 yards, and I happened to see him laying. And I wasn't 100% sure that it was dead. I could see him like down, kind of in a little. He was down kind of along a creek and some willows, and I could see that he was laying down, and he looked like he was expired, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I just wanted to, you know, make sure we had something before we walked right up on him, and just in case.
So like he's telling me to go get my bow. I go back and get my bow, and in my head I'm thinking, oh, I don't know what's going on. I'm thinking, oh man, I'm gonna end up shooting a 100-yard shot at a wounded running deer, and I'm like the worst thoughts are going through my head. I'm like, this is not gonna go well. I get my bow and I get back to Mike. He's like, I think he's dead. Like, what? Like freaking out. Like, no way. So we kind of get up there, and we're like 15 yards away from him. All we can see is an antler and like a foot sticking out through his stuff. Like, oh my God, is he dead? I'm kind of, excited, nervous at this point. And I'm like, yeah, he's dead. And we kind of walk up on him, and we see what deer he was. And I wasn't even sure that I'd shot the big one at that point. I wasn't sure if it was him or the smaller one. And we come around the corner of those bushes, and we see which one it was. And we're like, oh my God.
The big one.
Yeah, it was the big one.
Yeah, it was quite a sight. I mean, this thing laying on the ground there, when we went to turn his head, I'm like, Hey,
what was that? Brent, it's got to be close. Wasn't it?
They're over here to the right. Okay.
All I heard is
That's what I thought I heard too.
It's like one in the decoys. There's something over there.
There's one flying.
I can't believe we missed that. God dang it. We should have cleaned them out pretty much.
You know, though, that's the tough part to waterfalling right there.
I know.
So let's say we said let's take them, right? At that susceptible moment they were at.
We would have shot him in the butts.
And then we would have shot him in the butts.
Well, if we were turned.
We would have, well,
if we were turned.
But let's just say we would have shot him. We would have shot him in the butt.
Right here. There's a single. Right here.
Oh, God, yeah.
He's high. He's got to be one of them. That
Goofy
one
one
flew off earlier.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah. Might as well hit him. You better get ready to shoot this thing.
Nice shot, Phil. And I missed again. I missed
I didn't
again.
even pick up my gun, and when that thing kept flying,
I
was like, ah!
I had my gun.
I was reaching quick.
Bring it here. Good girl. Come on. What's that on his leg?
Man, he broke down quick.
I'm just kidding.
Well, when this hunt's done, I better go to the gun range and do a little
range.
trap
You gonna
shooting.
go buy some clay pigeons for you, Bill?
Man,
Good girl. Come here.
I gotta work on my shooting.
Yeah, that sucker went from really
Yeah.
good to nothing to really good again.
Yeah.
Real quick.
He
Come here.
dropped some altitude there at the end.
At the end, they come down
Like
hard.
I seen him go by, and when he was coming back on the back loop, man,
my
he
gosh.
was low. Hey, we got another flock out front, guys.
Is there?
Yeah, there's like 6 of them right here. They're a ways off.
Kind of got a bloody mess on my hands right now.
Where-
Where are they? All right. We didn't want those ones.
No.
That wasn't a flock. That was three pairs.
Those 3 pairs. Literally, like
Yeah.
they were spread
Yeah.
out as 3 pairs.
All right, that's fine. Yeah. So, man, when we saw that deer, like it was so cool. Just to have him laying there, and then not even his antlers, just like I was actually more relieved than I was even excited. Just I felt so bad about thinking I was wounded one and not recovering it and all that baloney.
We were not like that. The night before, we were not optimistic about finding
No.
it. I mean,
I was pretty kind of down in the dumps, and ended up when we found him, the shot wasn't nearly as bad as I thought. Like the height was right on him. I was probably like 8 inches further back than I needed to be.
Still in the vitals, though.
Yeah, it was probably a liver shot, and we figured he probably died overnight sometime. And worked out that we found him basically in the minute that the sun hit him is about when we found him.
yeah,
So
he
he
had not been in the sun.
Yeah,
for
so
more
he was
than
cool.
probably 20 minutes.
Yeah, we got him
He
cut
was-
up,
he
and
was cooled down really well actually, and it had gotten pretty cold that night. So
yeah,
so that helped. I mean, it was.
yeah, we
I
got
think
them.
it froze, that night. So it
Yeah.
was right down around 30 degrees.
Yeah, we got in, cut him up quick, and got him packed out, and we got him packed back to camp, and then let him sit for the day so that he could cool down a little bit. And then being that we were in a spot where we had no other hunting pressure really at all, other than that guy that we met, and we did have some nice deer on. We didn't really want to alert a lot of people to where we were hunting, so we made a decision that was probably good in the end, but it sucked while we were doing it. Is we waited till dark to pack him out, because this is a pretty well trafficked area with hikers and backpackers. So we waited till dark, hoping to avoid some of that traffic and maybe and hunters too. And yeah, we hiked him out at like 7:30. Got back to the truck around like 11.
Yeah,
I think at night, which
and that was
it sucked.
that was a job.
It sucked.
It was. I mean,
7 miles to the truck.
Yeah, anytime you're packing an animal in the mountains, like,
Yeah, it sucks in the first place.
It's
But-
a job.
At night on a super rocky trail, steep.
Did you pack them all in one trip?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because you don't have anything else.
Yeah, we didn't have we left our camping stuff. I mean, I probably had 60 some pounds on my back, I'm sure, with the meat and the head. And then, you still have like some of your camping stuff, because you got your first aid, and you got water, and you got your extra jacket. I mean, all that stuff that you kind of got to have, just especially at night, just in case something happens. Yeah.
I mean, you don't know. I mean, you could be you're walking 7 miles across. I I mean, it's not
bad
nice terrain, so I mean, you could roll an ankle, you could blow out a knee, you could do whatever.
Yeah, so
you might have, so you got to kind of be prepared for that kind of thing, and have some clothes in case you got to stay there for a while or whatever.
Yeah, so I probably had 70 pounds on my back, and man, when we got back, there's like a half mile or quarter mile stretch of gravel that leads to the truck, and that was one of like the most miserable walks I've ever had. Like my feet and my ankles were just killing me. And we got back to the truck and took those packs off. I was like, oh my God. But yeah, it was a good feeling to get them back. And we ended up driving into town that night. We needed ice. We needed food, like real food. We needed a beer, and we needed a bed.
The beer and the pizza. I'm just glad
God.
we made it to town before bar closed, because that was a lifesaver. We got a flock of birds back here. I'm not exactly sure what those are.
Where? Right here.
They're ducks, aren't they? Or
No.
They're
ducks, yeah.
That's ducks. Yeah.
God, they look...
Geese.
Oh my God, how about those two coming right at us? I got beef. I got beef jerky in my mouth, so I can't cough for a minute. We might not even be doing these. What are they doing?
It's not setting up yet.
Dang it.
Tough. Golly. They act like they're going to swing right around.
Yeah, they started to turn at the end. Oh man, that was just like they just floated over us from the north. That they're pretty much in shooting range, come over top, but they weren't really what we weren't really what we wanted, but they weren't far off.
Huh. See, that's a funny instance too. The whole hindsight thing. So if we would have had our backs in the whole time, you wouldn't have looked at those ducks.
Yeah,
they never made a single honk. Those two didn't.
Yeah.
And so they would have been past us when we would have spotted them.
Yeah, we probably could.
And know what we would have been saying right now?
Yeah. Oh my God, get him.
Well, no.
We would have saw those.
If we would have saw those ahead of time and called a little bit, we would have got them. Yeah. We're too late. Yeah. Shit.
Yep. Yeah.
All the way they were flying across.
Man, I thought they were just
really low. I didn't think
we didn't have to call.
No, I didn't. I wasn't even touching my call.
I kind of figured the minute you just hit them with like one honk, I was like,
they're going to set up
and they would just be locked up and go.
No, they just didn't want grass this morning.
Gotta wait till dew burns off of it.
A little more wind would help us this morning too, I do have to say.
Yeah.
It's picking up a little. I mean, it was like dead this morning, like early.
And we do have a breeze now. The grass here is moving, so that's good. Yeah, anyways, we got
you got your beer and pizza.
We got our beer and our pizza. And then
some of them,
we literally came fresh off the mountain to this bar. It was kind of a cool bar. Like, I'm kind of a connoisseur of like dive bars. I love not the trashier the better, but there's a certain level of trashy bar that I like, and this was kind of like a really nice dive bar. Everybody in it was super friendly. They saw we were dressed in camo and our boots, and then we literally just came off the mountain after 6 or 7 days of being in there. Everybody's asked if we got something, so a bunch of people wanted to go out and see the deer and kept talking about that. And it's kind of fun hanging out there for a bit. And yeah, we got our beer and our pizza, and I think we rolled into bed at like 2:30 at night and got up in the morning and ran the meat to the locker and head to the taxidermist. And
did you just get a hotel then, or what?
Yeah, we got a hotel.
Yeah,
it was Labor Day weekend.
It was kind of nice because we got into town so late that like there wasn't a gas station open or anything like that in this town we're in. So,
the lady at the bar.
So the lady hooked us up with a bunch of ice at the bar. She's like, just let me fill my cooler with a bucket or two of ice, and then you guys can have whatever's left in the ice maker. And there was like
plenty,
like a lot of I don't know,
filled the cooler
3 or 4 5-gallon buckets of ice, so it was pretty awesome.
So we got the meat taken care of, and we got that to the cooler, to guy at the butcher shop in the morning and got that processed and frozen, which normally I would have just taken it home, but we had another 2 weeks to hunt yet, so I had to kind of do something, so we left it at the freezer there, and then we picked it up before we left for Montana. So that was it was a cool gig. And went back in, and I don't know, we went back in for 3 more days?
Yeah, I think it was.
I think we hunted like 3 more full days, 3 more nights, and a 4th day maybe, or something like that. And Mike almost had a couple close chances, and
yeah, I had close calls. I was well within range of 4 different pretty nice deer, and
4 different times on
on
the 2 different deer that were big, mine and then the other one. Yeah, the deer that I shot, we were within him probably 40 yards, I bet 2 to 3 times before I finally got him.
Yep.
So it was kind of a ongoing project to get one, and I definitely wasn't like specifically chasing that one. I would have shot the smaller one, as evidenced by me missing him just minutes before, but the smaller one, but worked out that the bigger one ended up coming home with me instead of the smaller one, so
yeah,
that was cool. Yeah, we'll have to save the elk hunt for another time.
For the next goose hunt?
Yeah, hopefully next couple days.
I mean, not tomorrow, but
a lot of cool other things on that hunt. I mean, the hunt itself was fun, and, we
had
some good chances and stuff, but man, like that moose you saw that one day.
Yeah, it was as we were tracking
his velvet.
As we were tracking my deer, I went back to grab our packs one time, and I was throwing a couple of our jackets and stuff into a pack so I could carry them easier. And I went back and I look over my shoulder, and like 15 yards away, there's this like pretty big to me.
It was a
big moose. I've got some video on my cell phone. I'll have to post it somewhere sometime.
Yeah, it was impressive.
Of this big moose, and it walked out of the willows and into the trees, and it was raking its antlers on a small pine tree. And it didn't pay much attention. Either it didn't know I was there or didn't care. And I end up behind a tree filming it from like 10 yards away, partially for my own protection, but just wanted to get out of the way of it. And yeah, that was cool. And then I watched him. I saw probably another 10 moose. I mean, I saw like the most like idyllic scene of a cow and a bull moose in a shallow pond, like river pond, with the sun setting on them. And
you said you had a black bear stalk you a little bit.
that was in Montana on our elk hunt.
Yeah.
Oh,
we didn't.
We didn't
see
have
any
bears in
bears.
Colorado.
Greg saw one, but we never did see a bear.
We saw a lot of other animals. We had a good number of sheep.
Bighorn sheep.
Really surprised. Like the first day we ran into one.
Yeah.
That we got some really cool photos of.
Yeah, like 10 yards.
It was a ewe, and she had just one horn.
Yep.
And the other one was either, I don't know, broke off or damaged or something. But we got some really cool pictures of that, and then we ended up hiking up over the top, and we ran into quite a few of them up in the
like
rocks.
30 some bighorns, like under 50 yards away from us. They're kind of more curious than anything.
Yeah, they weren't super scared of people. Obviously, they don't probably see much for hunting pressure of any kind.
Yeah,
So,
they don't get hunted.
I mean, the people they see are just walking by or climbing
wearing
by or
Patagonia
whatever.
jackets and probably not even seeing them in the first place, for that matter.
Yeah, that could be. But
Want
yeah,
some
that
jerky?
was really cool.
Yeah, we had that. I mean, just the scenery was pretty. The weather was awesome. It was a fun hunt. I actually think I liked that more than the elk hunt even.
Yeah, it was fun. The cool thing about that hunt is you're in an area where everything's kind of visible. You can see a lot of what's going on. You can see the deer. You can see a lot of the other stuff where, on the elk hunt, when we went to that, it was a little different because, a lot of the elk are in the timber and you can't see them.
Anything.
And you can hear them and whatever, but, the fact that you can kind of see more and you can see what you're going after and you can kind of lay that out.
It gives you a bit more confidence just to keep going.
Yeah.
To know that something's there.
Right.
For sure. Yeah, that was a fun hunt. Yeah, so we're just fresh off that. We got back a week ago. Exactly.
Yeah, a week ago today.
A week ago today, we got home, kind of unpacked, got shit straightened out again, and I headed over this way for the weekend for the duck opener and a regular season goose opener.
So was a goose.
Yeah, I heard one.
Sound like a little ways off, but yeah, this is kind of fun. We haven't had us three together for.
No, it's been a while.
I bet
It really has.
Oh, I bet 15 years since the three of us hunted together.
Mm-hmm.
Has it been that long?
I bet. I've been, well, maybe not. I moved. Well, 2005 was when I moved to Rogers.
Oh, that's closer.
Yeah. And that season.
Out front somewhere.
Yeah, he's up front over the trees.
Must be real. Is that corner of the tree?
Is that him way out there?
Yeah. Oh my, is that? No way.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Oh boy, that's like
Almost too far to call that.
Calling distance even.
He sounded closer than that. Yeah, that's
God, that thing must have a
Wow.
megaphone hooked up to him.
The wind's carrying his sound, but still, that's impressive.
Yeah, I would have guessed he was almost half that distance.
That can't be him. God, it's gotta be.
I don't know.
I think that's him.
Jeez, man. That was loud for being.
Yeah, what would you say he is? Like a mile away?
Or at least. And behind the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's over there.
I haven't heard a shot from there even in a long time. I almost gave away the secret spot, the name of the secret spot. But,
Well, I'm afraid I have to go get my pizza ovens warmed up.
oh yeah, yeah. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, Bill's got to work today.
This is my busy work day. I got a 12-hour shift ahead of me.
Yeah, the pizza farm is open for business today. We'll probably hunt for a little bit here yet, and maybe if we'll let the recorder on, but we'll see what happens. If not, everybody, thanks for listening. It's a fun hunt. Hopefully this live hunt thing can happen a few more times throughout the season.
Yeah, let's. I'm gonna take a look. But I think we got some north winds coming in a couple days. So
Yeah, once we get a north wind, we should have some more action.
Yeah,
And that'll be when this deal here will really turn on.
but for the being warm and all that, really, this has been not too horrible.
Oh yeah. Well, I think if we would have killed that flock of 6 that floated over us, we'd
We'd be real close
we'd be
to.
done.
Yeah, I
We'd
bet
be
we
done?
would. Well,
if we would have killed them all.
depends on how I shot it.
Well, okay,
It's
yeah.
not exactly been.
Let's say we'd be 1 or 2 short then.
Yeah, Tuesday, I think.
So today's Sunday.
Looks like it's gonna be.
You guys are gonna hear this. I'll release it tomorrow or tonight, so you'll have it Monday. Hopefully, can listen to it right away. But yeah, then here throughout the rest of the week, we're gonna try to record some more and get some out that are similar to this in general idea, concept at least. So maybe we can shoot a few more times, hopefully during it, for your sake and for ours. Adds a little excitement. Cool. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. If we may add a little more to this depending on what occurs throughout the rest of the morning while we're hunting yet. But as of for now, we will catch you next time. Right on top. Lost them. No, they're good. We're good. They're gonna bank one time and do it. Right out front.
Oh my God, that's what we live for.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Should we turn the other way? Oh crap!
You better get ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, we're gonna take them.
Turn.
We're gonna take them.
Let's kill him. We'll stop the same one. Echo.
see one.
We got 3.
Yeah, but I only see the one. Find them.
There should have been one over here.
There's one right here, and there's one down here, and there's the one right there.
Yeah, that's all we got.
Yeah, we shot the same. That one, we shot the same one. I was like,
I did another one, but I shot him in the ass.
yeah. God dang it. Well, I'll go get with her, and she doesn't really like to cross this ditch.
God, they can work now.
No, that was so sweet.
Dude, I look back and I'm like, dude, we're gonna have to turn around. There's,
Oh yeah, they're
like,
gonna land.
They were coming.
Yeah. We should have had more than that over there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they were just like perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, find them. There should be one like right here.
Yeah.
Find them. Find them. Let's go.
Right there.
See it? Yeah. Back.